Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call this meeting to order, and we'll start by rising and singing the catch. The roll call of councillors.
Councillor Boudreau. Present. Councillor Guyash.
Present.
Deputy Warden Bean.
Present.
Councillor Bull.
Present.
Councillor McNamara.
Present.
Warden Cott.
Present.
Councillor McPhee.
Present.
Councillor Stone.
Present.
Councillor Sampson.
Present.
Councillor Johnson.
Next item is items added. We begin items that need to be added to the agenda.
Yes, we've had two councillors call with 3 items. Councillor Johnson called about a road name change, and also called about fire awards for the Framboys Horseshoe Volunteer Fire Department. And Councillor McPhee called with 2 items also, report of the small business conference and upgrading the number 4 highway. I guess 4 items.
That's Route 4 as compared to Route 104.
Route 4.
Okay, those are the items added to the agenda. Motion now to approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Boudreau.
Second.
Second by Councillor McNamara. Ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion's carried. Next item is the review of minutes for the March 9th, 1998 regular meeting and the special meeting of March 30th. Are there any errors or omissions?
So move the adoption of the regular March 9th and special March 30th.
Moved by Councillor Sampson.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question is called. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion's carried. Next item is petitions and delegations, and tonight we have representatives from Nova Scotia Power, Consumers Gas, Cynthia Langlands and Ray Ritzy, and what they're going to be doing is give us a presentation on natural gas distribution for the Strait area. So I'd ask Cynthia and Ray to give the presentation, and I've talked to them previous, and what they're open to is during the presentation, if there's any questions, just ask the question and they'll be able to answer them. Anyways, that sounds good. Okay, right?
Thanks, Richie. First of all, just before I get started, I personally thank you two for inviting us down here. It's a pleasure to be here. And as Richie mentioned, through this hour-long presentation, I'm not sure how long it's going to go. This is the first time I've been doing this. I invite the council members to ask questions to either myself or Cynthia. Maybe just before we get started, I'd like to give you a little bit of my background. Since this is a relatively new venture for me. Again, everyone see this okay? What I'd like to talk about today is give you a brief overview of the partners in the project, give you an overview of the partnership benefits, an overview of the project itself, give you an overview to an orientation to what it is we're talking about when we talk about the natural gas distribution business, the benefits of natural gas, the benefits to Nova Scotia, sort of where we're at in the project at this point in time. And of course, if you want to add anything else to this, we'd be happy to address that as well. The partners in the project, two partners, Nova Scotia Power and Consumers Gas Energy. This partnership was formed going back about a year ago, March of '97. And the reason for the project is to apply for the distribution rights in the province of Nova Scotia with respect to the provision of natural gas services throughout the province. A little bit about Consumers Gas Energy and Nova Scotia Power. Consumers Gas Energy is a wholly owned subsidiary of IPL Energy. Consumers Gas is the largest low-cost natural gas distribution company in Canada. I believe it's the second largest in North America. It's 150 years of experience in the business. We actually Consumers Gas just celebrated that earlier in the month. We serve 1.4 million customers in 175 communities in Ontario, in Western Quebec, and Northern New York State. There's a distribution network expanding 24,000 kilometers, and we have a long-standing tradition of being an active community participant. Nova Scotia Power serves 425,000 customers. It has 75 years of experience providing energy to Nova Scotians. It has a proven track record of reliability and service. So the key aspects that brought the partnership together were the attributes of Consumers Gas and its long history in the distribution business, and with Nova Scotia Power, it's with respect to its knowledge of the local marketplace. And together with those key attributes, I think that the venture itself is a strong and good partnership. Looking at some of the attributes and synergies of the partnership, the synergies enable us to bring gas to Nova Scotia as soon as possible and at the lowest price. We're going to look at directly creating new skilled jobs for Nova Scotians. Again, one of the key principles of this company is to create a new natural gas company for Nova Scotians and to provide an opportunity for many Nova Scotians that previous to, I guess a few years ago, was people would have had to leave the province and pursue that in other parts of Canada or North America or the world at large. We're looking at facilitating the development of a strong natural gas infrastructure. I think one of the key factors that we're looking at is generally what's referred to as a greenfield opportunity. In our backyard, there's a brand new supply basin coming on stream that's going to match the supply basins in Alberta, in the lower 48 states, and that is I think when people look back, pick a time frame, 5 years, 10 years down the road, they're going to see a viable new industry that many Nova Scotians haven't seen before. And I think then people will be really admiring the kinds of benefits that have been brought ashore from natural gas. Low-cost gas will sharpen Nova Scotia's competitive edge and provide growth and new investments. One of the keys here, one of the beauties of the product itself is fundamentally it is a lower cost source as compared to a variety of other energy sources. We believe strongly that when natural gas comes into the marketplace, be it for residential, commercial, or industrial uses, that the spin-off benefits and the new industries that will come in all the positions to date, I think that's been consistent. From the players that are involved in the offshore, the government, and the new players that are coming into the marketplace. I think everyone believes strongly that we're looking to maximize the benefit for Nova Scotia and Nova Scotians. Who are the players? Some of the names here, I'm sure everyone's familiar with, many household names. And I think what people are going to see over time is many new names that they might not be familiar with, today. Some of those names are up here at the moment, but I can assure you in the next short while, I think you will see a lot of new companies coming into Nova Scotia that hasn't been here before. People that you know through the Stable Offshore Energy Project, names of Mobil, Shell, Imperial, Nova Scotia Resources Limited. Certainly, many of those entities are world-class oil and gas companies, and they've certainly brought a lot of benefits to the province of Nova Scotia, and there'll be more benefits brought in the future. The project was created with respect to the development of the offshore natural gas. The plan is to bring a marine line, a subsea pipeline from offshore Nova Scotia, hooking to a variety of fields off this generally known as the Stable Island area, connecting those and bringing them to shore at Goldboro. There would also be a gas liquids line and a gas plant that would move from Goldboro to primarily Point Tucker. One of the other keys, once you've brought the gas ashore, is to get into the marketplace. And related to that marketplace, you need a primarily high transmission entity or pipeline to facilitate that to the marketplaces. The company that was awarded wholesale transmission franchise was a company called Maritime Northeast Pipeline. And what that is a consortium consisting of West Coast Energy, Duke Energy, Mobil, and also Nova Scotia Power. It's an interprovincial pipeline. It's going to connect Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. One of the other key attributes of that pipeline approval was the approval of two laterals, which would be smaller diameter pipe going from the large pipeline to markets primarily in Cape Breton and to Halifax. There's also in New Brunswick, there's a third lateral to St. John, New Brunswick. And here's the next map that sort of indicates that. Hope everyone can see it. Focus. Is that helping me? Is that helping me?
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yes, that's great.
Getting any better? Anyway, what you can see, what you can see is you can see the Stable Island area offshore. There's the marine line to Goldboro, the high volume transmission line going through Nova Scotia, through New Brunswick to markets down in the U.S. Northeast. And here's the there's two laterals that are shown, one to Point Tucker here, another to Halifax, and there's a third that sort of backs in. It's not here, but you can see it connecting to St. John. The memorandum of understanding with respect to the provinces and a number of the consortia provides for a market development fund, and essentially what that provides on the main transmission lines, the Maritime Northeast Pipeline, is a subsidy or incentive rate that reduces the toll to make it more attractive to open up businesses and opportunities in the province of Nova Scotia. In addition to that fund, I'm not sure if it's here or not, but the Maritimes and Northeast pipeline also provides a further incentive to reduce that toll again, to look for penetration in the local marketplace, in the Nova Scotia marketplace. That incentive funding is a little bit different in New Brunswick, and that is, it's not as refined in New Brunswick as at the moment. Nova Scotia Resources Limited is involved, again, in a consortium, and it is a partner, and it has natural gas reserves under its own title. There are laterals, again, to Halifax, to Point Tupper. Said earlier, Nova Scotia Power, as part of this arrangement, purchased 12.5% of Maritimes and Northeast Pipeline. And through its participation in the project, is also committed to receiving natural gas at Cusco, the power plant at Cusco. Let's talk about the natural gas marketplace itself. There are two aspects of the kind of environment that's going to open up in Nova Scotia. One of it is regulated, and those activities, which we're primarily here to talk about today, deal with things like the delivery portion of natural gas, and it's regulated by an entity called the Nova Scotia Utilities and Review Board. And then there's other aspects which are proposed in the natural gas regulations to be unregulated, and those activities would be related to things like the marketing and sale of the natural gas commodity, the gas itself, and related services, so things like furnaces, furnace repair, furnace installation, and similar kinds of services. So those types of activities are proposed to be unregulated. Pursuant,
When you talk about marketing and sale, unregulated, you mean pricing also?
well, the pricing is expected to be, with many sellers in the marketplace, that there will be a lot of sellers in the marketplace, and that the price will become market-driven, and it will be market-responsive, i.e. it will be set by the regulator.
So in other words, it's
It will be competitive. It will be competitive and unregulated. What I want to talk about is the delivery of the natural gas itself. These are some examples. These are the kinds of pipes in the ground that you would see moving from that main, the main pipeline, the Maritimes to Northeast, and off the laterals. The lateral itself could be in various diameter, 8-inch to 16-inch. The main pipeline could be anywhere from, it's different sizes, but 28, 32, 34-inch is probably the size in different locations of that main pipeline, and off of that are smaller diameter pipe. But moving into the distribution network, which would be off of those laterals, you will see different size piping, and these are some of the sizes of the pipes that you would see going down your main streets, and off of the main streets into some new subdivisions, you would see these types of pipes. And I think most of you were provided a keychain that sort of shows the size of the pipe that would move into a lot of the residential homes, which, as you can see, is pretty small. That's what distribution business is all about. It's providing the natural gas distribution infrastructure, those small pipes, into the communities to provide service to homes and businesses. Provides the distribution and transportation of the gas. Is it regulated? It's supposed to be a regulated business, i.e. the regulator would look at providing service in the most efficient way. And so the reason why it's regulated, I think generally they refer to it as natural monopoly. They don't see many businesses providing the same kinds of piping and infrastructure to the provision of services to the different homes and businesses. It's not very efficient to run a marketplace like that. It's a competitive process, and again, at the end of that process. The Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board will make a decision with respect to the award of franchise. It's also very similar to what's done in other jurisdictions, both in Canada and the United States. The selling of natural gas, this gentleman referred to earlier. The sale of natural gas, the commodity itself, will be an unregulated activity. The price will be determined by the marketplace, and we anticipate many sellers in the marketplace, which is very similar to what we see in other jurisdictions as well. I guess one of the analogies that can be used to describe the distribution business is to look at the telephone business. So MT&T owns the poles and the wires, but customers choose from a variety of suppliers. No one company can control the price of natural gas. No one company can control the price of telephone service overall. A lot of it depends on the customers themselves, and certainly what's being proposed from a natural gas point of view is also similar to the telephone business, as customers have choice.
Fill, and a vacuum cleaner actually comes and sucks that all up, dumps it here, directional drilling. So the idea, like in the oil industry where you do directional drilling vertically, this is directional drilling horizontally. So they're on a city street and they dug a hole, and this is just boring underneath. And again, they'll take the same process of dragging the pipe through the hole and patching that and resurfacing it. So again, it's minimal destruction to the community. And again, you can just see some pavements where, in fact, there might have been some of that boring or digging dirt. Again, this is the same. This is the torpedo that's going up here, and again, it's coming out here. So this is someone's residential home, and the gas meter's probably going to be put here. And so again, it's coming up here, patched, and again back here. So again, we're not digging up someone's entire driveway. The distribution company is in fact responsible for piping the street and up into 90 meters of the home. So most homes in Nova Scotia, that's plenty of property in order to get the gas pipe to the gas meter. The gas meter is mounted to the side of the home, not dissimilar to the electric meter.
You say it's within 90 meters of a home, or?
That's correct, up to 90 meters.
So what happens then? There are small companies that spring up who do the actual residence then, do they? Or?
You mean piping to the home?
Yeah. Or does the distribution company
The
do that?
distribution company does that,
Oh,
and
does
that
it?
might be through a series of dealers or installers who might go out in the marketplace and do subcontracting. So it might not be actual distribution company employees. It might be people in your own community that are trained to do this kind of work. There are some qualifications in order to do it, and then there are some straight laborers in the sense of digging and trenching. Again, this is how in fact the system is built. This might go down a street, and this is a tap that will go in front of your home, and then this, of course, will go down to your gas meter. And this is all heat fused, so the integrity of the system is really great from that perspective. Unlike steel and cast iron, which is being replaced in downtown Toronto, I think at about 175 kilometers a year in downtown Toronto with the plastic, this is flexible. So it can go around a tree or a rock much easier than perhaps the steel. So this is heat sealed, and then within that you screw down on a key, and that cuts the hole in order to allow gas to flow through. So the technology is very simple but very effective. And you can see this is where that would happen. That's your tap, and that's your lead in your home. And this is a wonderful picture of a gas meter. And this is actually an area that was redone, and you can, I have a hard time figuring out where the actual pipe was put on that street. And again here. This is a technology that Consumers Gas actually spearheaded and introduced into the industry, and this is called a cookie cutter. And the cookie cutter actually is a machine that takes a diameter almost like a manhole and digs that circle through the asphalt and lifts it right out as a one whole piece of material. Then the either repair or maintenance or introduction of a new piece of pipe might be done. And then the piece of asphalt is again placed on the ground, and then you only need to do is heel around where you dug the hole. So again, you don't need to replace a lot of material using this kind of technology. They have a number in their fleet in Toronto, and there's often waiting lists to kind of get access to it because it's a very popular way of doing business in Toronto. Many of you might know about natural gas, but a lot of us have not had the opportunity to use it in Nova Scotia. And I'll just take a few seconds to explain a little bit about it. but like electricity, we've all learned how to use it safely and properly. The key element around natural gas is that it is lighter than air, so that if there was an issue of it leaking, it would dissipate into the air very quickly rather than hanging around in a pool or a puddle. So there are some really good safe options around, or safe attributes around natural gas. It's a clean burning fuel. It releases fewer emissions compared to other fossil burning fuels, and it's low cost. In Ontario, for example, one can anywhere between 20 and 30% cheaper than other fuel alternatives. So if you spend $1,000 or a year in a business on fuel, and you're able to decrease that by 20%, that's $200 a month. So, yes.
How does that compare to Western Canada in terms of its cost?
How does what compare? Natural gas? Well, I don't think, in Alberta, the infrastructure's been there for a long time, and they do see, I think, greater differentials than 20 to 30%.
The main difference between the price of natural gas in Ontario versus Alberta is the cost of transportation from Alberta to the markets in the east. The other thing is heating alternative fuel sources. There are less in Alberta than there are in Ontario, so you can't really just compare the fuels gas to gas, but essentially the gas price in eastern Canada is a little bit higher than what we see at the source.
So what would we be projecting as a cost saving in Eastern, Nova Scotia?
But we're looking, to the Ontario marketplace. There's no question there needs to be a positive cost comparison to other fuels, or people won't convert their homes. We have very little new housing market in Nova Scotia, so we need to rely on people wanting to use natural gas in their existing home, whether for home heating or home cooking. And if there isn't a price differential, then people won't be converting, and then there won't be distribution. So I suggest that there needs to be a fairly attractive price comparison in order to make distribution happen in the province. But again, we're not selling the natural gas. There are going to be lots of sellers, so we might all live in the same block and buy from 3 different sellers, and I'm not sure what the price is going to be.
Who do you invoice for your service? The pipes that carry the gas, that distribute the gas. Is it the consumer who's buying gas that you invoice, or is it the seller who's using your lines to get gas to the consumer?
Currently today, consumers' gas is invoiced to the customer.
On behalf of the seller?
On behalf of the seller.
Okay, so we'd see one bill for both the gas and the distribution.
You can see an itemized breakout of the bill with different components.
So the delivery charge and the gas commodity charge, maybe the financing charge, itemized on the bill. The gas distribution company obviously have the infrastructure to be able to bill. There will be a lot of smaller sellers of the gas commodity, and they would perhaps want to bear the burden of putting in that infrastructure where they're billing it for the customers. So in many instances, they ask the distribution company to bill on their behalf. Do you have a question?
No, you answered it.
End uses for natural gas. Well, in your homes, there's lots. Home heating is obviously one. Cooking appliances, primarily on the range. Clothes drying. Barbecues, never need to worry about running out of gas on Saturday night for cooking at a steak. Fireplaces, I think it's the #1 growth product in Ontario for natural gas. In fact, some are used for heating homes. They're used for secondary heating.
Yes, if I can add to that, I think it's probably a crossroad where some people how people are converting traditional converting fireplaces to gas fireplaces, and also enjoying some of the heating benefits with it.
possibility in Point Tupper past years up there now?
I'm not sure where that stands. I know that the only commitment made at the moment is Tasco, primarily because it uses foreign oil at the moment. Coal is a cheaper generation source than natural gas.
Even in Cape Breton?
Even in Cape Breton, that's right. And so we're really interested in displacing the foreign oil at Tasco.
It's the first time we did this. We're just getting used to it. Maybe there's a question I should have asked maybe before we get started. Someone just sort of raise their hands and tell me whether or not you know of anyone that's used natural gas, obviously in some other part of either Canada or the United States. Okay. It's probably, and maybe we'll ask a little bit further. And generally, what was your impression of what they were saying about natural gas? Was it a positive feeling?
Gosh, and I had a brother in Wainwright. Cheap. Cheap was the word, and comprehensive too. I mean, almost, any use that could be found for it. I have another brother who's just built a subdivision in Georgetown, just outside of Toronto, and again there were savings because he was building a house, so he didn't have to convert or anything like that, and much cheaper, but not as much as out west.
Just by the show of hands around the room, this is something, I mean, it's nice for me to come back to Nova Scotia and be involved with a product that I've been involved with for a long time and really believe in. But we were at the home show a week, 2 weeks ago, and one of the questions that we were asking people that were coming into the booth was what their experience with natural gas was. And actually, we didn't think to ask the question first off, it just sort of evolved. But surprisingly, a number of people that were coming that said that they've only heard positive things and Quincy coming here. And that was something that, at least for me, I didn't really expect here. So there is a higher level of knowledge with respect to natural gas than maybe I think a number of us believe. But I think, the way as you pointed out, was the benefits of what people, at least what I think of natural gas, are its low cost and probably really close to it is that it's a clean burning fuel. You certainly notice a difference in going into a natural gas house vis-a-vis any other kind of house, whether it's oil, whether it's propane, I won't say electricity, but oil or propane, or wood. And certainly down, in Nova Scotia, I mean, all of those fuels are powerful. And it's just a very different feeling going into a major community where natural gas is provided.
One thing I was led to believe that if you burn natural gas in your home, that you actually don't need a chimney. Is that true? I know that. I'm talking about a traditional chimney that we're used to. No. That's all. It's quite a cost saving in itself.
We are finding that a lot of people, and I guess I do too, are confusing propane and natural gas, and there are significant differences I gather between propane, not only cost-wise, but as a product. What would those be? The difference? Generally,
safety. You talk about from the cooling, instead of getting natural gas just dissipates in the air. Propane doesn't work that way. The costs certainly weren't as well.
And the other shiny word is storage. So, Michael was telling Ray, I walked down the lower Bobby Street the other day and I saw 12 large propane tanks all together. And so, from a safety issue, but also the capacity in order to store that, this is distributed into your home directly through a pipe. You don't need to worry about running out. You don't need to worry about any safety issues, stoves, all that. So there's convenience and also safety around the tank issue.
This slide identifies some of the benefits for Nova Scotia and Nova Scotians. It's a new low-cost fuel choice for Nova Scotians. Given that, it should provide more disposable income to Nova Scotians. There'll be additional tax revenues across the board in the communities, provincial level. There's a whole new natural gas infrastructure that's going to be in the marketplace, and as I said at the opening, I kind of know 10 years from now, people are going to look back and you're going to see a much different way of life in Nova Scotia with this new infrastructure in place. There will be many spin-off benefits attached to this infrastructure, and people, again, and you certainly see some of it in this neck of the woods, actually probably more than other parts of the province. There will be new industries sprouting up that haven't been here before.
Just to elaborate on that, at the moment, there are no dealers or contractors authorized to work with natural gas. There needs to be suppliers of natural gas equipment. There needs to be contractors to install the pipe. There needs to be pipe. There needs to be the purchase of vehicles, the outfitting of vehicles. There needs to be inspection. There needs to be meter reading.
Training,
There's nothing in the community college at the moment, so there needs to be staffing in the community colleges. There is the school system, the introduction of a new curriculum. So this is something that's going to be long-lasting in the province. So these jobs, unlike the construction jobs on the transmission line, there needs to be a long-lasting infrastructure and opportunities for many Nova Scotians, entrepreneurial existing already, to look at opportunities to get involved with natural gas. And we as a partnership are trying to facilitate that, to make sure that Nova Scotians are trained in time in order to work with this product. So this is the kinds of initiatives we're looking at.
I think we just covered that up. These last 5 bullets, it will create permanent jobs. There will be construction jobs associated with the infrastructure. It will attract new business investment. It will make business more competitive. And it has positive environmental impacts.
I'll only take a second because I know we're up to our hour exactly. I will explain much here. It's now been almost a year since we formed the partnership, and we've been spending a lot of time speaking to communities like yourselves, working with provincial government, working with the community college system, introducing a curriculum that will enable Nova Scotians to be trained for the introduction of gas in the homes. There's no question that community colleges have focused on the offshore for the last couple of years, and now they're moving towards ensuring that they have a solid curriculum for onshore development. And working with the fire department to ensure that there's regulations around the safe introduction of natural gas in the community. We know through talking to hundreds of thousands of Nova Scotians that people do have concerns, like Louise mentioned, around natural gas, particularly around safety. And we're prepared to train people and educate them around natural gas. We also have to make sure that the environment allows for the safe introduction, so people need to be qualified for it. So in order for distribution to be successful, it needs to be produced safely, and so that's why we're working with the Department of Labor closely on this. We've been working in the community, talking to customers maybe, for example, in the county of Richmond. We're doing market assessment at the moment. We're trying to understand what the needs and interests are of communities across the province. And we are looking at the entire province because we want to take gas to as many Nova Scotians as we can. And looking at the socioeconomic impact of introducing gas to communities in the province and speaking with many business leaders. From a technical standpoint, we're looking at the cost to bring gas to the community. So we're not only just looking at the interest, but what is the cost to deliver gas to homes and businesses in many communities, as well as looking at the environmental impact around doing that. So that's very closely linked to what communities are feasible. And we have to file our application. We anticipate filing within the next couple of months, and in that filing, we will be stating where we believe it's feasible to distribute gas at the moment, as will our competitors. So it is a competition to win the rights to distribute gas. So that's really critical, but we're not able to really say going to be distributing gas. I think it's fair to say, even as late as last week, continue to look at new communities, wanting to make sure that we can get gas as far as we can in the province. So again, the UARB and the Department of Natural Resources are developing regulations in a process. You probably know this, they're not finalized at the moment. We anticipate an application late spring. In fact, it might be as early summer now. And fall hearings might be close to late fall, early winter hearings. Things continue seem to be delayed. And award, hopefully by franchise by year end, because we want to get gas in people's homes as quickly as we can. Winter season is important for many businesses and homes, but we'd like to get gas in as late as 1999. But obviously, as the process gets delayed, that introduction of gas to Nova Scotia is being delayed as well.
Cynthia, you were talking about, I understood that there was going to be expressions of interest that had to be posted before the end of April. That's been changed.
Not formally, but that's a letter of intent.
Yes.
We understand that might be moved, but we have not been formally notified of that. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. Yeah. In fact, we were never formally notified of a specific date. In April, we were just led to believe that there might be a filing of those interested parties by the end of April. But we've only heard, I think it was even as late as last week, that schedule might be moved back again by another 8 days.
Yeah, you can see that why that would be important to a municipality like ourselves.
Sure.
We have to know if anybody's planning to distribute gas to Richmond County, because if that's not the case, then we've got to take some action. It's kind of a catch-22.
Yes. There's also, this is fait accompli. You don't go in and file and it's never going to come out again. If there's parts of the province that either applicant have gone in and feel that on the day, that's not to say that in 2 years' time there isn't a larger industry, there's more residents who are interested, that it doesn't make it feasible then, and interested community members or other gas distributors can go in and apply. It's not kind of take it all and forget about it, never go back again. So there's always an opportunity, I understand, to go back to the regulator and file for distribution rights that were in the original franchise award. So I'll just finish up here, and I think you'll understand that we're really committed to taking gas to as many homes and businesses, and we believe that the combination of our two companies will enable us to do that very quickly and at the lowest price. And we're prepared to work with key stakeholders like communities like yourselves to maximize the benefits of stable gas to Nova Scotians. That's where we stand. So if there weren't any questions, I'm happy to entertain some now.
I have over here. With respect to the rural nature of the area that we are in, is it the case that in fact the product would be more expensive in the rural areas? Or will there be some type of subsidy? Because I would assume that it certainly can't be delivered as cheaply in the rural area that's sparsely populated as it could in the more urban areas.
Good question. I guess my response to that question, right now, the Saranac Northeast, the main pipeline that's being proposed would be a postage stamp, they refer to as a postage stamp rate to the province. That is the province through to the United States. And then off of that, there are various reductions in the province of Nova Scotia available to different parties marketing the gas. So over and above that will be the cost of the infrastructure to move the gas to the homes and the residences. And right now, the tariffs that we're looking at, and we haven't firmed any of those up, we'll look at different proposals to provide rates to as many services to as many Nova Scotians as possible. So we will take that into consideration in trying to provide gas to as broad a base of Nova Scotia as we possibly can. But again, we're still developing the economics and looking at the financials around that. We're just basically pulling in data and information on energy usage within the province.
Because basically you're saying to me that although we're sitting right in the backyard of the development, because of the rural nature, we're probably not going to have as fair a shake as if we were in downtown hall.
So I think it's too premature to say that.
Okay.
We're just still looking at the data and information we're pulling together. And that's certainly, I've only been here for a couple of weeks, so anyway.
I guess we shouldn't rush out and buy gas furnaces tonight.
No, but I think you're going to see in the next little while a number of new people in the marketplace that will be trying to position natural gas in the marketplace for people that are faced with an energy decision. And I don't think that day's too far off.
Good.
But I guess that's, and these people here this evening are helping us. We have to gain some information on natural gas to find out what type of interest there will be from the larger firms and partnerships that are working on it right now to see if they can deliver gas here and if they think it's feasible. If it's not, or early on, then we have to see what types of
I
avenues,
understand that, Louis,
avenues
but
are available.
my question was to the effect that we all, as consumers, receive hydro at a standard fixed cost across the province, as do we oil. And I just simply wanted to know, in fact, if that would, the same thing would apply to natural gas. It certainly does in other areas where there's a high concentration of population that I'm familiar with.
But
Thank you.
my point surely is we may have to look at whether there are other things that we have to do to get it ourselves. It may not be available even throughout the province, irrespective of
That's
price.
why we won't rush out and buy gas furnaces.
I think as we mentioned, we have a whole process that's going to be going through the government. I think over the next several months, all the communities across Nova Scotia who have a variety of stakeholders and interest in this process are going to see a lot more information coming forward that they can see, that they can view, they can better understand what natural gas means to the province and what it means to the various communities.
I think this is going to be an open process whereby anybody who has a concern around anybody's application can challenge any of the applicants. This is a due diligence process, and we need to be able to demonstrate the validity of our application and answer your questions for those of anybody else. So the regulator has assured us that that will be an open process. So whether that be a community or someone in the constituency that has some concerns around what our intentions are or that of our competitor, there is that opportunity to ask those questions in an open hearing format.
And I guess there's also concern from some rural areas and smaller communities about whether in fact large companies will have an interest early on in actually applying for a franchise in our community, and if they don't, then some communities are starting to look at what options they have, and there are some options out west.
Yeah, and
It's still early on, but yeah.
that's one of our concerns. We have minimal information, but a little bit of information that we do have shows the difference between the distribution in Alberta, which was done through a series of cooperatives. About 98% of people have gas in Alberta. And then we get into the situation in Manitoba where one main distributor, and about 40 to 50% of the population it's all urbanized. In other words, in and around the city of Winnipeg. And that's a concern that we would have. The understanding we have is what's happened there is that they had an A list, a B list. The A list got gas, and the B list said, fine, you can have gas, but you've got to pay this amount extra. Those are the concerns that we're
Sure, and that's a good question because our view is, again, there is going to be a whole open process for all competitors, and a lot of proposals are going to come forward, and that would be one. I guess our view is we think that if it works for those alternative projects and proposals, we think it works for distribution, works for our project, and we hope to be involved in all the communities across the province to the greatest extent possible and work with the communities to ensure that as many Nova Scotians get gas as possible. So we view that as a win-win situation both for the communities and for our project.
Well, if that happens, Ray, I'll be one of the first ones to congratulate you because that's one of my biggest concerns. I figure we may be paying a lot more for gas if we got to Boston. That concerns me.
We have this is a question from the audience. Do you want to mind?
Well, generally what we do is wait 15-minute question period, but if you're comfortable with it, that's fine with me.
Sure.
Okay.
With respect to current results, is there a ballpark number we're looking at? Like, is there any estimate how many current construction jobs you would short term? But I see
business that attracts many permanent jobs to the space. Consumers Gas Company itself in its market areas has about 3,800 employees at its base. And sorry, I'm just talking about the company itself. I'm not talking about all the other companies that are out there providing support to the company. And that's a multiplier effect. It's many times greater than that.
Consumer base.
Sorry, they didn't start at 1.4 million consumer base. They started back in 1955 with just 100,000 employees, customers. They've grown over that period of time.
Yes, consumers. But we don't have any consumers.
There is a strong customer base in the province that will support natural gas and the benefits of the
I don't think we're suggesting that we're going to be the size of consumers gas in Ontario and Nova Scotia. I think we're in relationship to the number of employees or dealers and contractors that support that marketplace that would translate fortunately to Nova Scotia. But just to go back to your question about where displacement, natural gas will displace primarily oil and homes, and most homes in Nova Scotia are heated by oil. So there will be virtually little impact to electrical generation. And if we see the benefits of another low-cost energy option and the attraction of new investment, if we get new industry investment to Nova Scotia, which still requires electrical generation to turn on the switches and power a lot of the processes within the plants. So in fact, we could see electrical generation and use of electricity grow as the province grows by using natural gas. So it's really just another option for industry and homes to use. And quite frankly, we see a growth overall in all energy sources, with the exception of ones that we like to slice with natural gas. But with electricity, we're not concerned about displacement of coal because we see electricity being still a very strong environment, energy option in Nova Scotia, and we're committed to using coal as a source of generation, primary source of generation in Nova Scotia.
And with respect, in answer to your question, going into the application process, we expect to be able to have analyzed the data and information that we're gathering now, and be able to position that with respect to the number of permanent and construction jobs. So we just haven't had that far. Maybe for the close of it, thank you very much for inviting us here to speak to the public. And maybe in the next little while, you can invite us back when it's maybe a little bit warmer out there than it is today, and maybe when it's a little bit closer to us. Again, I invite you all, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact us. We'd be happy to work with you and provide you with the information that you might need.
And we've got our commitment to keep you informed as we move forward in the process. We're still in the studying stage, but at some point we all need to kind of file and communicate and get out there. And we've got our commitment to keep you posted on our activities as we move forward in the process.
And I appreciate that, Cynthia. I was going to ask you when we that. As you get new information, and certainly when you do file, at least concerning Richmond County, we would be most interested in hearing exactly what your intentions are, what you decide on. As you can understand, that's very important to us and our stakeholders.
We assure you that we will undertake to do that.
And we appreciate you coming down and taking the time. And again, I would hope that communications between council and yourselves is useful for both sides.
I say to you that you're the first formal presentation, I think, within our county borders, who have actually come, and so you're breaking new ground. We have a community television crew here who cover about 40% of our county, so your word and your company's word is the first that we'll hear about gas. Hopefully it provides some orientation.
We certainly keep everyone informed as possible. We'll keep working.
Thanks.
If you don't mind, if you just back up for a second.
Maybe what we'll do, if the councilors, if we can get a 5-minute break while we is clear enough for our next presentation. Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. And our next order of business is a presentation by en route Madame John McKenzie. He's passed out some information of the funding proposal, and I've asked Don to come forward and make a presentation.
Thank you. Council. I guess I just basically want to start out with just giving a little bit of a background and a little bit of a definition as to what a community access site is. And basically what it is a simple little physical location where within a community where public access to the internet is offered. And it can be large or as small as the community chooses it to be. But one thing must happen, it must be a site accessible to all members of the community, including the disabled. So this is what is en route Madame. In 1995, en route Madame, in its infancy, there was an application presented by moving to the Learning Center to Industry Canada for their community access program grant. And as part of that grant, she got together a group of local community people, a good cross-section, people that were versed in computer and business users of all types and sizes, I guess, and we formed a board of directors of 15 people. We're successful in our application. We are located at the Armidale District High in Ayrshire, and we had our doors open and in full operation since 1997. I guess what we are out to do or to accomplish is we are dedicated to providing our communities with affordable access to technology and the information highway, as well as the skills to use it effectively. Excuse me, as I said, funding for the site originally came in the form of a community access program grant to the amount of $26,000, which was strictly to be used for the setting up of the community access site for capital purchase of technology. And that allowed us to purchase 5 one server and network program and 4 workstations. The community access program through Industry Canada, I guess, is to their primary objectives, I guess, are to help raise awareness within the rural communities of the benefits and the opportunities of using information technology and services, to accelerate access to the information highway, the learning tools and the services to help sustain job and growth in rural communities, and to foster the electronic exchange of ideas and information. It's also to promote the opportunities for local entrepreneurs, employees, educators, students, and others to improve their computer information management and networking skills. And it's to foster the conversion of existing government and other services to electronic delivery, as well as the development of new electronic services with a view to provide better and more economical services to all Canadians, including persons with disabilities, regardless of the size and the locations of their communities. En route Madame subscribes to those objectives, and to date we've been very successful in achieving these objectives and goals that we have set up for ourselves. Through the Straight East Nova Community Enterprise Network, or SENSEN, we've been able to secure a coordinator on our site from July the 7th last year until June the 14th of this year. Now, up until that point, we've been running on a volunteer basis, and as a lot of you realize, volunteers, along with the family life and the full-time job, have asked them to spend 200 plus hours or more over a period of time. Is hard, and to prove a site viable without just strictly through volunteer basis is a very difficult thing to do. At present, we are providing volunteer services 100% to the technical aspect of the site, and will continue to provide servicing, repairs, and the network upkeep and maintenance is required through volunteer services. The coordinator that we have, and about to lose in June, has been there to take care of the administrative side of the thing, set up programs and make them work, if you will. And to that end, we've been able to provide internet and email training for the hearing impaired, as well as everyone else within the local community. We provided professional development for the Strait Regional School Board. We provided internet training for the students on NDH. We provided training for local businesses, for example, the St. Joseph's Credit Union, Clearwater Fine Foods. We've provided services for government departments such as the Registry of Deeds and Public Health, and community organizations such as the Strait Richmond Community Health Board. We've helped the local entrepreneurs with business functions, and I said on site one, Visions for New Photography in Big Drop, which is using our facilities to take care of a lot of their computer services, accounting, and so on and so forth. J.R. Sawmill, the Jenny's Unisex, Sean's Plumbing, the New York Cranberry Farm. We do actually work to establish partnerships with community organizations, businesses, and municipal government departments such as Kishcom, St. Joseph's Credit Union, and the Department of Recreation. I might add that we partner on a project basis. If any organization has a project that they want to partner with us on, or we partner with them, we are very, very open to that sort of thing. That falls within our mission statement, and that is our goal, is to help local business and organizations in that respect. I might add that we are an independent organization. Our Dam is a not-for-profit independent organization. We participated in the declaration of the Strait area as a smart region, which has received the unanimous backing of all participants, including Richmond County. We pursued the idea of this, we are at present, pursuing the idea of distance education in UCCB, so that people won't have to leave our community to obtain university credit courses. We've submitted a number of digital collections proposals, and at present have one in there for their consideration with Industry Canada. And the project that we are endeavoring to have them accept at this particular point is oil and also recovery. And I think the Airshed area has a lot of experience in that respect. We've assisted the communities of Bluesdale and Edmonton secure almost $30,000 each to set up their community access sites in their communities. That we're committed to doing, and we're committed to seeing that through with all the help and assistance that we can offer those sites and any other sites within the county for that matter. We are at present working with the St. Peter site to offer them assistance, and we have trained their site coordinator at our site, and as I say, we are continuing to work with them. We have tried to reach as many people throughout Richmond County as possible, and as I say, it's not just our county, an area we've reached a little bit further. Sydney, we've had organizations, people come in from Sydney to be trained with us. We've assisted communities outside of Richmond County to set up their access sites. We produced a booklet that Industry Canada is at present reviewing and editing, and we anticipate will be publishing and will be sent out nationwide along with successful CAF applications as a standard in how to set up a site and have it function and work effectively. As I say again, we've assisted local entrepreneurs. We have provided work experience at our site for local students, and we are presently providing work experience to community service clients. We have been approached by nearly half of the literacy outreach, literacy outreach coordinator, and we are very interested in becoming involved with the literacy in Richmond County. As a matter of fact, her letter crossed the board meeting 2 weeks ago, and they are holding a meeting this week, which we intend to attend and subscribe to the literacy service. And as I say, as our founder briefly has been involved with learning and literacy through most of her life, and that was our basis grounds. We feel very committed to this project and very committed to literacy and learning within this area. I guess in conclusion, as I was saying, over the past, we have attempted to do this on a voluntary basis. We have approached Industry Canada for further funding to keep a site coordinator on staff on a permanent basis. To no avail. Funding has been now in pockets, and the funding has never been strong enough to allow us to keep this coordinator on staff on site. We've approached provincial government with funding applications, and they just simply haven't had no success on either counts. I might add that Industry Canada is at present working on a project that would see life after its initial cap program grant, but in the process it hasn't progressed far enough that we can physically make an application, and we have no tentative date as to when that application can be submitted to them. Since the appointment of our site coordinator, our site has exploded. We have become the first CAP site to actually come on stream under the full CAPS program. From the initial grant to the purchase, through the purchase of the initial technology, it has started through the internet access through the high-tech 56K line, and the switching material that's required to actually come on stream, set programs in place, have them working. There are numerous sites that are up and doing that since we have begun, but we were the first to do it. Thus, we have become a leader. So a lot of these sites have looked to us as a model site, and it's not only sites in our local area. The province of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, as an example, is close to is to find out how to set these things up and make them work. We would like to keep that going. We would like to grow. We would like to progress with what we are doing and expanding on the programs that we would like to make available to Allentown area, to Richmond County, and beyond. The programs, we've just begun to scratch the surface on the networking that can be done through the entrepreneurs and local businesses in different parts of the world that share the same interests and approach the same markets, testing market strategies amongst these people to themselves. We have chat lines set up that night have left the site, and there are 3 people who are actually doing networking between entrepreneurs. One is here, of course, another one is talking with one in Australia, one is down in the States, and they share similar interests, similar market products, and are sharing strategies. And these strategies would pay off. It's been a valuable resource. We'd like to keep that going. Without a site coordinator on a full-time basis, that will collapse. Because there just simply is not enough volunteer hours a day that people can spend to make this thing work. So I guess what we're asking is grant from council to the maximum allowable limit.
Don, just a couple of quick things to open up to council. One is I was wondering if you could, what we're going to be doing is we deliberate for our grant requests around May. We'll be doing that. Of course, that's your proposal will be taken into consideration. One thing I'd like to, if I could get from you, is your prospective budget for 98.
Sure.
And also any, your expected expenses and whether there will be increase, just to show us what you're looking at.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. No problem.
Do you have a financial statement for past years?
We've included the financial statement for 96 and 97. I have this there.
Great. I'm sorry. Yeah, only 11 comments. Okay.
I can share this now.
You can forward it to me with the budget, please.
Can I bring up the points for those councils?
You're part of the presentation.
I just explore something that's support the age.
Okay, but make it easy. You're part of the presentation, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, stand up. Let's go. Okay, yes, go ahead.
No, it's just that, like, we provide more than just the internet services. States are beginning to go to provide scanning capability, laser printing, and sound cards, and we're adding to that all the time. And of course, as all of you know, technology is not cheap. So a lot of the money that we are making is a lot of providing these services cheap enough so that businesses and local people can come in and enjoy the technology. But it is costing. For example, we added 3 new machines just lately, and you know what it costs for 3 computers to any system. And so that's added cost to us. And the thing is, if we're going to provide services, okay, for the community, then we have to do that. And we have to make our technology grow. Other than that, I mean, we're not going to go anywhere with it. One other thing, the reason why I was really interested in this particular project was that in this area, we've been exporting one of our biggest resources to West Britain. A lot of our young people are moving out. And here's the technology that may keep some of that brain in our particular area. We're actually helping communities outside our area to grow with this export. Now, we've got a technology here that I think can use both resources, the brains, the intelligence that we have locally. I think that's an important fact. And the only way we can do that, and you realize that any business requires a number of years before it gets stand on solid footing. And what we are asking for is assistance so that we can get ourselves to that position, so that we can become solidified as well in our business.
Councillors, any questions that you want to present to Councillor McNamara?
I would just ask a question with respect to the coordinator and full-time position. Did I understand correctly from you that the coordinator would in fact be sharing the work and responsibility amongst the 3 campsites in the area?
We definitely are.
Equally sort of thing to keep everybody rolling?
Yes, we definitely are committed to that. These projects are very, very important, and the whole idea of the community access program was that no one site would independently try and pick up a niche as it were within a market and exclude everybody. The whole thing was designed to work together as one general operation, and we are very, very committed to that. And directly answer that, yes, our coordinator, whoever the person would be at the time, would definitely be committed to working with the Rosedale, St. Peter's, or Uxbridge, whatever sites would require any assistance from us.
Any other councillors have questions?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask if there has been any funding provided for the Straight Richmond School Board, or do you see that as a source of funding for this project? And if not, why?
Indirectly through in-kind contributions, the Straight Richmond, or the Straight School Board has supplied us with the room, and given us space for room, electricity necessary to work, heat necessary to work, janitorial services, we're not charged for yes, and security, all of this. This is all considered in-kind contribution. As far as, they ran the extra mile on this, and they're very, very kind. And to approach for more money, I don't know it is there.
Councillor Burke?
Yeah, just maybe a point we might be able to clarify. With each of the campsites having received a $30,000 grant application for startup, especially in Evanston and Bluesdale, maybe you can explain the reason why maybe some of that funding is not being used for coordinator's position.
Okay, that funding is given to each individual campsite, and as it was with our grant, awarding of our grant, that money is designed for technology, purchase of technology, setup, and the necessary switching lines for that particular one site. Funding for us to be paid, will detract from their ability to set up, and therefore it can't be used for that. And that grant is specifically stated that it is not to be used for wage or anything else, only in the setup, only in the purchase of technology.
Don, just for my information too, I believe there's, 6 campsites now, Evanston, Lewisdale, Almaden, Lordway, St. Peters, Johnstown, is that correct, or is there another one?
Yes, that is correct.
And the last 3, of course, with Evanston, Lewisdale, and Johnstown, the other 3.
There are 3 ones. The Lordway site was the originator since the very beginning. As I was saying, we are the first that set up under the full caps program. The Lordway site was initially running and was enterprise. Received the caps program, and they were very disappointed in our site. They supplied us with a tremendous amount of help and advice, and moral support to continue on, which is what we're passing on ourselves.
Any other questions from any councillors? If not, then Don, what, Councillor Guy?
Mr. Warren, questions, I guess, I'm looking at the aspect of you provide service, of course, there are certain times where there's user-based systems, you see where people that can provide the services, say, for the straight food, clear water, pump food, other government departments, such as trustees, and they pay to utilize the services.
Yes, they fix the cost of technology, just what it costs us to provide the technology for them to continue to do their work.
Another thing that I mentioned there, especially when you put operational funding to the county to allow sustainability, and wondering exactly what does that mean? Well, you get the operational funding this year, if you do not reach the level of sustainability that you expect to achieve, you look again next year for funding from municipal government, because we haven't achieved. If you say sustainability, you can request funding from a government agency like municipality kind of wish.
That's a possibility, I won't deny that, but the fact that what we're looking at is on our annual, on your year's plan, it will take us, we expect, at the present rate of growth that we're seeing, it will take us 1 year to become fully sustainable as a site, to be able to pay our own way, if you will, to supply an on-site coordinator. Our goal is to provide that on-site coordinator with an assistant or a helper at some point. At present, the on-site coordinator will be responsible for all the fleets as well as the training as well as whatever. We are using at the present time for their assistants, if you will, volunteers. And they've been very gracious and we're very appreciative of that, for their services. But that service could end if they're operating position somewhere, then we've lost that. To answer your question correctly, it is our hope to know that we will not be coming back next year. This year will be our year for sustainability. We just need that over the hump, if you will, funding for this.
The reason I mention that is the board, as council, that maybe we can act as a resource to obtain funding that should be provided by the provincial and federal government that are, as a matter of fact, economic development departments. I think, as you know, Mr. Chairman, we are restricted as far as municipal government. There's only 1% of our tax funding that's allowed to community organizations as far as grants. And we have applied in the past to put monies aside for economic development through the Department of Municipal Affairs, which is, of course, regulating municipal government. We have definitely been denied and not allowed to set aside funds for economic development. Now, I'm not saying that there are not ways or means by which we cannot assist this group, but I think the major point of view is that it's not a form of download for federal and provincial government departments. They have the accessibility to funds that the municipal government does not have. We depend totally on the taxpayers of Richmond County property taxes, and I think it's probably time that the benefit better be on the government of acting as a resource for equal apply to these provincial and federal governments to listen. In economically deprived areas, like Mr. Alexander mentioned, we are exporting our people. It's time that we can hear that the problems the federal government realize, and not depend on municipal government that don't have the resources financially. But I think we have other means to assist the organizations locally. The word for them is a great word in infrastructure. Before
Just further to what Councillor Guys is saying, Don, I understood that Sensen was going to be applying for coordinator funding. Now, we could certainly support that. Where is that application standing?
That is, as far as I know, it is under application. Has one aspect of it
has been turned down and they're moving in another direction. In essence, here what I think is going to happen is that very soon, it's going to be a rather long process. The HRDC has withdrawn from the organization. Is that correct? HRDC, that was what the original has withdrawn from us.
That funding was sent out.
Oh, okay. Yes, okay. And that's it. But it's processed,
Councillor Sampson.
I think it's clear in the motion requesting from this capital operation.
well, we're looking at, what we're looking for is operation funding as a on-site coordinator present. Now we say we're asking for whatever maximum allowable is there. Our requirements are around $25,000. So, but the maximum allowable.
Any other questions from the councillors? If not, then what I'd like to do to put this on is to get a motion to accept Don's presentation and to take it for our...
I move that we accept the presentation, Mr. Chairman, and we refer it to the grant request.
Moved by Councillor McPhee. Seconds that motion.
Second motion.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Everybody understands the motion. You ready for your question?
Yes, question.
Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Don, I want to thank you for your presentation tonight, and be sure that we will do the due diligence when we do our grant request, which will usually happen sometime in May, and they're approved at our meeting.
Thank you very much for the time.
The next item of business is a notice of motion from Deputy Warden Beaton, and that's to amend bylaw number 36 to provide for a complete tax exemption of St. Anne's Community and Nursing Care Center in Arishat. This is the first reading of that, I hate to use the word bill, but a bylaw, this would be. Deputy Warden?
Make a motion to amend bylaw 36 to provide for complete tax exemption of St. Anne's Community and Nursing Care Center in Arishat.
Seconded by Councillor Woodrow. Are there any questions on the motion? Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Counter-minded? Motion is carried. The second reading will be on the agenda for the next regular council meeting in May. Next item is committee reports, and I'd ask the Deputy Warden if he would deliver the committee of the whole report for the month of April.
Committee of the Whole report for the month of April 1998. The committee has met several times since the last council meeting. The committee reviewed a request to have a deed issued for a property sold at a tax sale in 1945. I move that council accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and issue a claim deed to Kenneth Pringle with a recital referring to the 1945 tax sale, and further move that the appropriate municipal signing officers be authorized to execute the necessary documents.
Seconder? Councillor Woodrow?
Councillor Wise.
Councillor Gaius. Councillor Gaius, at the record. Any questions to the motion? Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Deputy Warden.
The committee was also informed that a 3-year actuarial review is being carried out effective January 1st, 1998. This is being done in order to conform with the Nova Scotia Pension Act. The actuarial review has determined that there is an actuarial deficit of $21,390 in the employee's pension plan. I move that council accept the recommendation of the committee of the whole and authorize the funding of the actuarial deficit of $21,390 January 1st of 98 in accordance with the recommendation of our actuaries.
Seconded by Councillor McPhee. Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Deputy Warden.
The committee reviewed a request to have the municipality evaluate a private road in a subdivision. I move that council accept the recommendation of the committee of the whole and authorize an interim policy on subdivision roads. Further move that staff be authorized to engage an engineer to evaluate subdivision applications on an application-by-application basis, and further move that the engineer be advised that the private subdivision road must meet transportation standards for the first 50 feet, granite, site distance, etc., because this is requirement to the Department of Transportation permitting process, and further move that the engineer be authorized to evaluate the remainder of the road by using his professional engineering judgment to ensure that the road surface is acceptable for automobiles to navigate, incline, curves, etc.
Seconder?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Gore. Ready for the question?
Questions.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Deputy Warden.
The committee also reviewed our policy on out-of-county travel, Appendix A attached, which has not been changed substantially since 1981. The committee is recommending that the policy be incorporated as part of our meeting fee/travel policy attached as Appendix B, and that the policy be amended to provide for out-of-province travel. I hereby give notice that I will introduce a resolution at the next council meeting to provide that the council policy on meeting fees, travel expenses be amended to include a section on out-of-province travel as follows. Number 1, if the municipal business is out of the province, the warden is also authorized to make a decision on who will represent municipal council. Number 2, the remuneration, travel, and expenses shall be in accordance with this policy, except that remuneration for travel mileage shall be at the lesser rate of actual return airfare ticket or mileage at the rate stipulated in Bylaw 3. Number 3, the municipal representatives shall report to council or committee of the whole regarding the results of the out-of-province travel. And further move that the meeting fee travel expense policy be amended to include the provisions of out-of-county travel policy. Municipal Council received a recommendation from staff that the present IBM computer system, which has been used by the municipality since 1985, be replaced with a new IBM AS400. I move that Council accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and authorize staff to purchase the IBM AS400 and software to be used as the mainframe for the municipality's operation at an appropriate cost of $39,395.
Seconded for that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor McNamara. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Deputy Warden.
The committee was also advised that 3 individuals have applied for membership on the Ad hoc Courthouse Committee. I move that council accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and appoint Don Woodruff, Holly Sampson, and Stephen Doroch to the Courthouse Ad hoc Committee.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Ready for the question? Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Deputy Warden.
The committee received representation from the Grand River Fire Department regarding their fire awards. I move that council accept the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole and appoint Stuart McLeod, Fire Chief, and Richard McLeod, Deputy Fire Chief, as fire awards for the Grand River Volunteer Fire Department for the portion of District Number 10 that they covered.
Seconded by Councillor Johnson. Question is called for. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Motion is carried.
This concludes the report of the Committee of the Whole, and I move its adoption.
Seconder? Councillor McPhee. Ready for the question? Question is called for. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Board. The next item of the committee reports is to do with the public hearing that we had on the land use bylaws for Ramadan tonight. And I'll now accept the motion for its adoption.
Mr. Warden,
Councillor Burke.
I move that Richmond County Council adopt
The Ramadan Municipal Development and Zoning Bylaw with the deletion of items 2 and 8 in Schedule D, and further move that the plan and bylaw be referred to the Minister of Municipal Affairs for his consideration.
Moved by Councillor Burke. Is there a second? Seconded by Councillor Diash. Any questions on the motion? Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded?
Nay.
Nay. Recorded. Nay from Councillor McPhee. Motion is carried. Next item of business is correspondence. List attached. The first item is from the Honorable Guy Brown, Reed Municipal Government.
Good morning, Cottons. I'm prepared to leave public life. I want to thank all of the elected officials across Nova Scotia for the support and encouragement and suggestions I received during my time as Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs. Although my service with this department was brief, I really enjoyed the many opportunities I had to meet with municipal leaders to hear about their concerns. No one can fail to be impressed by the enormous contribution municipal leaders make to our province. The enthusiasm and commitment you display is exceptional. I am certain you will continue to meet the challenges with the same level of energy. I know that you will continue to find the department helpful and supportive to your needs. If I can ever be of assistance personally, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. All the best for the future. Thank you again for your past efforts. Sincerely, Guy Brown.
For your information, the next one is the State Area Mutual Aid and is reading the Fire Department radio licenses.
Mr. McKinnon advises that he wishes to inform us of the efforts that are being made by volunteer fire departments in our unit, and also throughout the State Area Mutual Aid membership of their efforts to have radio license fees dropped for volunteer emergency agencies. And he attaches a copy of the correspondence to Wayne Adams regarding the 911 service also in Richmond County.
With respect to the radio fees, have we as a council in fact made a request for this to take place?
Yeah, it occurred about 4 or 5 years ago when radio fees for all organizations, I guess including non-profit, were increased substantially at that time. Quite a bit of representation was made by most municipalities in the province too.
I would certainly to move that we write a letter asking that those fees be diminished for volunteer bodies such as our fire departments.
Okay, I guess then the addressed, I guess, to the
Yes.
Mr. Minister of Environment.
Well, I think it's a federal issue, actually.
It's a federal issue, it is.
And so we'll make Mr. Down aware of it also, but
The image address to
by
federal.
the CRTC. Is there a second? Sorry.
Moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor McPhee. Any question? Question is called for. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Counterminded? Motion is carried. Next item is the Port Hawkesbury Airport. And it's from the town of Mulgrave.
You guys are going to have to hire this guy. It's very few words. Our council meeting on March 18th agreed to withdraw as a funding partner to the Hawkesbury Airport. Sincerely, Sam. What does this mean with respect to our membership on the committee?
It wouldn't mean, well, we can
Do they continue to sit
we certainly enjoyed having them sit around the table with us, and I'm very disappointed when I got this the other day because of the proximity they are to the airport, of course, and the Bob Hamptons, and their contribution hasn't been great as far as money goes. And
less than $1,000.
Less than $1,000 they contributed last year, so I'm very surprised, like I say, especially in the proximity they are to the airport and in the straight area. I thought it'd be kind of nice to have alongside it.
So they will no longer sit though on the airport commission?
We haven't met since this letter was received, but I'm assuming no, they don't contribute.
Yeah, I would assume. I guess the problem that I would have is from Mulgrave is they've also notified that they've withdrawn from the RDA, no longer a funding partner there, and they've refused to join the Guysco RDA, which means that they're getting the services of both RDAs for no cost, and that kind of bothers me. I know that they're a small municipality, I know that they probably can't afford too much, but you know, if the province requires that all municipalities be represented by RDA, Mulgrave is allowed to withdraw, where does that leave the rest of us? I guess that's the point that I would make to that. Moving along then, the next item is FCM re-unaddressed mail. I'm moving along fast, am I? Okay, my fault, yes. Nova Scotia Utility Review Board read the Kenny Lines license fee increase.
They've asked to amend their tariff, which governs their fees for passenger traffic, and the notice sets out that there's a hearing on April 24th. Should anyone wish to make a representation?
I'm just curious as to how much of an increase that would be. The minimum fare, I'm not sure what it was before, they don't say. Just by an estimate, a trip to Halifax is going to increase by a minimum of $3 one way. I imagine it's in over the $3 range now. I don't know what it would be from St. Peter's, but probably very similar. I guess I'm just wondering exactly why they're asking for this increase. It doesn't go on too far as far as the presentation is concerned. Anyway. Next item, FCM unaddressed mail.
The correspondence notifies us that FCM has successfully negotiated to have Canada Post exempt municipal election related material from its consumer choice policy on unaddressed ad mail. That means that consumers can notify Canada Post if they don't want to get all kinds of flyers, but they can't notify them about yours. Canada Post has agreed to deliver yours.
Next letter is that's one that's near and dear to us. It comes from the municipality of the County of Colchester, and it deals with the education tax contributions.
The correspondence sets out that it appears as if the province is not going to reduce the rate, mandatory education rate, despite a very substantial increase in artificial increase in assessment because of reassessment that was carried out last year. They provide that in their case it's 3.5 cents on the residential rate, or $360,000, and they're asking that our unit support them in opposing the proposed increase in municipal contributions to education.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know if you've done those figures up yet, but leaving the 39 cents per hundred of assessment just because of a reassessment with Stora and other reassessment, well, what would that mean in an extra contribution cost?
I can't recall, to tell you the truth, although I've done it. It is substantial. They go much more than that. The residential portion and resource portion of our assessment last year increased well over 20%. And generally, I guess that was consistent with other rural areas. The increase in rural areas was substantially higher than it was in the urban areas. And so we would normally expect a reduction of about that. However, the rumors that abound are that will not happen. So I don't know what the amount is for you. I will get it and give it to you at the next meeting.
The reason why I make that as an issue, I guess all councils have heard the news about the negotiations between Guy Brown and our President Walter Fitzgerald. And it sounds like it's great news. And I suppose to one respect it is. For us, it means $60,000 extra that we would have to pay on our social services contribution. But if this is not addressed, we could be, the municipality is going to be net loser. And that's only assuming that the province keeps the education rate at 39 cents per $100 of assessment. I know there's still a chance that they may increase it, but our argument has been is that at least they should drop it the same as we do with our tax rate. You know, assuming the expenses remain the same, when assessment goes up, that generally would happen. What I would suggest is one of two things. Certainly we should support Warden Smith's letter, to the education minister. But also we may want to, in the future, before their budget is finalized, to make representation to the government, because this is a very important issue to us. Councillor Woodrow.
I have a big concern with this whole issue, and the fact that municipal residents are being asked to pay more for education costs of our children, and receiving less and less services in terms of cutbacks in the number of students within a classroom and the number of teachers within our schools. And I think that that's just appalling that the government is asking us to do that. I'm prepared to entertain put forth a motion at this time supporting the request to support the efforts of Mr. Smith. I move the Richmond County Council write the provincial government to strongly indicate our objections to the increase in contributions to education expected from the municipalities. And be it further moved that Richmond County Council also strongly requests that the provincial government take the needs of the education of our children to heart and stop the process of cutting services to our classrooms and teaching staff by inadequately funding our school boards.
Moved by Councillor Woodrow. Is there a second to that motion?
Seconded.
Councillor Bork. Councillor Woodrow, I'm assuming that you want to address to the Minister of Education, and we'll copy the local, at least our own MLA and the President from Minnesota.
Yes, and also copy
Warden
Mr. Smith. That's right.
Smith. Okay. Okay with the seconder?
Yes, it is. Question.
Yeah, question on the motion, Councillor Sampson.
Colin fully supported the motion, but I think the added initiative of trying to set up the meeting so the department people further emphasize our position and opposition to this. I think it's very important.
Okay, and I can do that. We do conduct a lot of business in Halifax. I wouldn't make it a special trip, but what we try to do when we're going is to set it up to save expenses. Councillor Guyach.
But hasn't this been a priority for the Union? As far as you hear, there's no scope of municipalities, but
Yes, it has been, and the understanding, the deal that was signed is that the education tax was removed from negotiations, and that's the reason why the municipality, the UNSM signed a deal with the provincial government. But they did take the education tax off the table, so that means that the government literally is free to set their own rate. So we can just take the initiative ourselves.
Isn't this part of the overall stand of our provincial government, whereby they want to download the services more and more onto the municipality? Mandatory contribution, when they first came up with this idea, was under the assumption that municipalities would only have to pay a standard rate. Somehow they forgot about the idea that assessments will rise, and if the assessments rise and your rate stays the same, you still pay more. It's a convenient way of the provincial government hiding the fact that they want to download more and more onto municipalities. And education, of course, being a big budget, it's a convenient spot to download a lot of things. I agree with the motion that's being presented. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's a deplorable state in the province of Nova Scotia where you have a government that doesn't care that much about the educational needs of our children. And I think the downloading that is taking place is a perfect example of a government that is not concerned about the educational future of our children. And I think it's deplorable.
There's a couple of things, Mr. Warden, I guess we should make clear for the public who are here. Even though our contribution will increase on this, if the rate is maintained, there's not an extra nickel that will go to the school board. What in effect it does is if our contribution increases, it saves the province. Our share goes up. So we're not opposing additional monies for education. It's just that this tax increase will only result in saving to the province. The second thing is that within the union, there's a debate about the education tax this time around, because the rate of increase in the reassessment that was done last year uniform assessment means that only flow through this area, was not uniform across the province. So some of the urban areas that had heavy commercial cores that had taken a beating in the early 90s didn't experience any kind of increased values comparable to what we did in rural areas. So it's kind of like what we face when we have a reassessment, where you have some units that maybe went up 6 or 8%, some others that went up 19 or 20%. And how do you utilize the education tax rate to take care of that? Particularly when the units are large urban areas. I don't want to name it.
No. In fact, my understanding is that actually the commercial rates have gone down in an HRM, for instance. And that's Councillor Moore.
Louis, have you looked at the 96, 97 uniform assessment province-wide and calculated per unit?
No. You mean what our increase was as opposed to others? I haven't. I did ask about a year ago, I asked Skippy what the local director of assessment, what the average increase was around the province, and he gave me those numbers. I believe they were around 13% for the province as a whole, and Richmond's was in excess of 20%. Now some of that was due to a real increase, and it was not due to the reassessment last year. We had a substantial real increase in our commercial property assessment.
Any other questions on the motion or any other discussion on the motion? Questions are called. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Next piece of correspondence is from the District Number 3 Economic Development Commission, re the Nisku School.
Ms. Marshall wants to make us aware that the people in District 3 have formed the Community Economic Development Commission, and that they're in the process of startup through a recreation grant and having their name recorded with the Registry of Joint Stocks. The intention of their commission is to take control of the school, and so they want to keep us informed of the progress that they're making.
Councillor Sampson.
Are we at regard to the school? Still not really. Well, we can go over to us.
Yeah, we put insurance on it just to cover ourselves as far as liability goes, and my understanding is that minimum heat is being applied in the building to make sure that nothing freezes up. So what we're doing is we're holding it in waiting for this community economic development group to make a formal proposal.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I should mention, I met with this group a few times, sit actually on the board with them. They've gone through the Registry of Joint Stocks at this time. They're looking to get incorporated. They will be coming forward as proposed in the next 30 days.
Councillor Sampson.
In terms of community economic development, I can't look at the district development on the dam. The development on the dam is just came with the school.
No. They're totally independent. Right now they're looking for expressions of interest from the community, and they're receiving them. They've received several people, and even at their last meeting there, have proposed they want to come in, take occupancy of the building, so much space, they'll put a dollar value on per foot to the building. They're totally committed to the project, and what it's going to mean, the final bottom line is the actual maintenance on the building. If they can swing it there with the rental that they're looking at coming in, and they need some firm commitments from the community on requirements and space there.
Has there been much in the way of expressions of interest?
Yes, there is. And I think in your proposal you'll see a lot of the expressions are going forward a bit of more detail.
Okay, that's the discussion about it. Okay, move on then to the Honourable Guy Brown, and that's terms of reference for municipal government.
The response to our correspondence, giving him proposed terms of reference from the applicant by indicating that he thanks us for providing him with a copy of that resolution, and we will be very interested in any comments that the Union of those approaching municipalities has concerning a resolution of the FCM policy statement. Guy Brown.
Next item is from the Honourable David Anderson. It is concerning the shrimp fishery for Richmond County, and there's two copies, one addressed to Mr. Joe Malone of Development on the Dam, and the other one to the Chairman of Development on the Dam, Mr. Jason Woodard.
The correspondence is to honorable members of our community. However, it reads just about the same. And the key paragraph reads, with regard to the shrimp resource and the fishery on the Scotian Shelf, I will take your community's interests into account before approving any new access to the fishery. However, I must also tell you that such decisions must consider the history of development of the fishery to avoid unnecessary disruption of existing enterprises while guiding the future development of the fishery. Isn't it a shame, I mean, we see what's going on in Guysborough with one community fighting against another. In a sense, we're competing with our neighbors. You know, what happened to the quotas that we had to process fish here for hundreds and hundreds of years, you know? Who lost them? I don't mean the fish. And where did the quota go? It's quotas to.
What are the existing interests?
Well, that may have a lot to do with it. I know that
Not the existing interests here, however.
It's our community's interest. It's not real high up on it.
you know, in the presentation that was made by Development Madam, I was present for one of those presentations. Councillor Guy had tonight. It's a very strong proposal, very reasonable. All they're talking about is the increased quota that's likely to happen to get their share of that. They're not even asking to go back and re-give licenses out. So I mean, it's a very reasonable proposal. And I guess I'm disappointed that the Honourable David Anderson doesn't take it more seriously than he seems to indicate in these letters. However, there's still hope.
Mr. Chairman, that's the problem. These letters, this is a failure of understanding by the federal official. What he does, he downloads to the representatives from the provincial government. For example, Ben Fontaine, one meeting, that's the person who's supposed to be there. And what he done, he sent representatives from his department. So if we keep going that way, all of a sudden we're meeting down Richmond County, people that don't have any authority whatsoever, or don't have the power to change the regulations. And the presentations that were made, disruption of existing enterprises, we explained that explicitly. If they read the briefs, if they read the submission by Development Madam and the group that represents the displaced fisheries, that's not our intention whatsoever. We're looking at additional licenses for permits, excess shrimp that are out there, that they're going to issue 15% increase, for example. And we're not looking at disrupting the existing enterprise.
No, it's just
whatsoever. And that's what really is upsetting. And what they have done, as a matter of fact, in 1996 they initiated a new law, a new rule within the DFO, Department of Fisheries, that says you need a mobile gear. Whole fishermen plus a mobile gear. There's no such thing as mobile gear in town. So that means we can't even put our names in the drawing for any additional shrimp licenses or permits. Now, if you call that representing people that are displaced in the fishery in Richmond County, all the work that has been done as far as tags, and they say they use Richmond County as a model, the great work that we have done from the tax program. And this is what we're facing. And I say again, we should write again to the Minister, Mr. David Anderson, and say, come down and see in Richmond County. It's not that far. I mean, we can take a plane up to Ottawa, we can take a plane down here. It's the same distance.
Is there anything else that we can do, Councillor, that would facilitate, you know?
I think we'll keep writing on this. I don't know where those letters go. It seems to me it's just photocopies of letters that we keep receiving. And I think we keep submitting letters.
From Canso are very upset today in the media because they went to the expense of a delegation of 4 traveling to Ottawa to try to meet with the minister. Apparently weren't successful in meeting with him. And they've just found out that at the same time he was down in Sydney, or just very recently he's been down in Sydney meeting with private, well, I don't know what type of interest groups, but holding fishery. So,
no, I don't think the answer is for us to delegation.
No, well, apparently what I'm saying,
because they don't meet the minister.
According to the media, he was in Sydney here in the very recent past, meeting with groups that have an interest in
I
fishing.
think the federal minister has a responsibility to this group, Richmond County residents. That's a responsibility. He represents Richmond County. The same as it represents any other area of fishing industry being out west or southwest shore. We are part of that. And I think we deserve the quality of life that we would most else.
Councillor, I certainly agree with writing to the minister, but maybe what we should do is to extend a very formal and strong invitation to our MP, Michelle Dockwell, to appear before council to address some of these issues that are very concerned to residents.
I think we should have the MLA and the MP.
Well, the MLA, of course.
And the President, of course, will make that formal motion.
I think we should include the Minister of Fisheries.
And the Minister of Fisheries, once again.
Yeah, we'll write, my understanding of your motion, we'll write to the minister concerning this, but we'll invite both our MP and our MLA and try to get them at the same meeting, in other words.
I think we should invite the minister as well.
Oh, yeah, the minister, federal minister.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kayas, seconded by Councillor McPhee. Councillor Bork.
Yeah, maybe he should be reminded in the correspondence, Canso, according to what's been in the papers, that Seafreeze has gone from 450 to 200 workers. Richmond Fisheries has gone from 450 to 0 workers. Now, if that's not stating that there's a good reason why we need the shrimp resource in Richmond County, I wish he would tell us how to get our people employed. Those that want to stay within the fisheries.
I think it's also a good point to point out to the minister that he talks in his letter about unnecessary disruption of existing enterprises. What have we been left with here in Richmond County? And I think that needs to be pointed out to him.
No disruption.
Just in line with what
It's surplus shrimp, so it's not taken away from him.
Yes.
Disruptive is there now. We're looking for something added. And I mean, when you think that the representation that is made by organizations such as Health on the day, you know, people associated with tank and working towards enhancing the fishery in any way, I have to agree with Councillor Brand, although I wonder if any of the correspondence has ever been looked at.
Well, obviously he doesn't understand it. He is not going to disrupt it. So it's excess quota. Quota over and above what's there now.
Question on the motion.
Question on the motion. Councillor...
What are we saying in the motion?
Basically, what we're doing is we're inviting the fisheries minister to council, but we're also inviting our MP and our MLA. The only note I would make on it is that I don't think it would be useful to have our MLA appear before council other than with the MP, which is the MP's jurisdiction. He would be a resource for us.
The Minister of Fisheries we want because the team was not paying any
Just let me to realize I don't expect to get him, so we'll get him.
Gotta keep asking.
But
We also have to have some liaison between the provincial Minister of Fisheries and the federal. Maybe one can teach the other something.
Okay, then I would suggest with the commission, over the second, and then the letter to the federal minister be a copy to the provincial minister. Okay. Ready for the question? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Counterminded? Motion is carried. Next item of business is Public Works Canada. We may still deal with two of them used, but it's the River Bourgeois Surplus Wharf and the Poirier Surplus Wharf. Two letters.
We're used to these letters by now, aren't we? We get one a month about an award that they're chucking out of the federal system. But anyway, both read the same, that we're getting rid of wharves, and they both read that there has been some interest expressed in the local community in assuming ownership of the properties, and they want us to let them know within 45 days if we have an interest in the property.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the one in River Bourgeois, I've had expressions of interest from individuals within the community that they've set up a River Bourgeois Preservation Society, and that they're interested in taking over that wharf. And I believe that might be good.
That will occur before the 45 days.
I would assume, yes. I think basically the census of this is that they want to know whether we're going to become involved, and I don't think we're in a position to do that.
In the past, if you the council from the area is comfortable that a group representing the best interests of the community is involved, then that's everything that we wanted to see.
I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that with respect to the River Bushel one, that we not entertain any expression of interest on our part, and that we support the efforts of the River Bushel Preservation Society to establish ownership.
Okay. By Councillor McPhee, seconded by Councillor McNamara. Everybody understands the motion? Questions called for? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Motion is carried. The Poirier bill, again, we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any expression of interest in that area, and we'll support that whatever venture that they choose.
The one in Quarryville, they've made application.
And they?
Street. That's not a copy.
All right.
Okay, vote passed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we should also request a motion, or you should have.
Certainly, I entertain a motion to support that, yes.
Yeah. We can write to them and say we have no interest, or if we don't hear from us, then presume that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the next item then is Lordway's Volunteer Fire Department, the appointment of fire wardens.
They provide the names of chief, deputy chief, that they would like to have appointed as fire wards under this plan.
Moved by Councilor Sampson.
We do all the fire departments all the time. We need something more for you.
I think we should have separate motions. There won't be any confusion among the names.
Can I just
Councillor?
remind him it's relevant?
Okay, I tell you, we'll go through this there and then I'll move yours up to include it. Moved by Councillor Sampson. Is there a second? Seconded by Councillor McNamara. Any questions on the motion? Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Next one is the St. Peterson District Volunteer Fire Department. They're recommending that Raymond Ferguson, Fire Chief, and Dwayne Horwell, Deputy Chief, be appointed as wards.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Stone.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor McPhee.
Question?
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Louisdale District Fire Department. They're recommending that the two wards be Johanna Strug, Fire Chief, and Cecil Frost, Deputy Chief.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor McNamara. Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Next is from the Almaden District Volunteer Fire Department. They're recommending the chief and the deputy fire chief. No names.
Yes.
Their correspondence is very brief.
Chief is Leon LeBlanc, Deputy Fire Chief Dean Sampson.
Oh, yes, I see down the bottom. Move it. Okay, moved by Councillor Woodrow. Second. Second by Councillor Johnson. Question's been called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. Councillor Johnson, I guess the Framboys Horseshoe Fire Department.
I move that David McLeod, the fire chief, and Douglas Morrison, deputy fire chief.
Moved by Councillor Johnson. Seconded by Councillor Sampson. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Motion is carried. The next are 4 grant requests from the Almaden Historical Society, the St. Peter's Community Club, McCaskill House Museum Society, and the Store Minor Hockey Tournament.
The motion was for that.
Moved by Councillor Guyash. Seconded by Councillor Stone. Ready for the question?
Question.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? It's carried. Next item of business is items added to the agenda. And the first item is Councillor Johnson, and it's concerning a road name. Councillor Johnson.
Yes, there's a road in Soldiers Cove. I've already spoken to the residents there, and they all agree that the road should be renamed Old Trunk 4, and it's number 4, not written 4. And I guess we send that to the Department of Highways.
I'm sorry, Councillor, I'm just getting a little bit of advice there, so I take your motion.
I would recommend that we send that to the Department of the Superintendent of Highways.
You didn't do an Oxford. Okay. Moved by Councillor Johnson.
Second.
Second by Councillor Stone. Ready for the question?
Could I ask,
Yes, Councillor Moore.
Have you checked what time when you went to see if this affect this house?
Actually, the sign itself has not been, it was the Department of Highways that was going to put there, but you're right, no, I didn't check.
Maybe what we can do is, with the mover and second's permission, is we could write letter advising 911.
That's correct.
Up this proposed change. Again, we don't have the power to do it, we just have the power to request it.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Okay. With the mover and permission to... Ready for the question?
question.
Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? The motion is carried. My apologies, Councillor Johnson, just went. Just give some information. The next item has been dealt with. The third item is from Councillor McPhee, and it's concerning the Nova Scotia Small Business Conference, which Councillor McPhee, Councillor McNamara, and Councillor Woodrow attended. Councillor McPhee.
Mr. Chairman, on behalf of Councillors McNamara, Woodrow, and myself, I'm pleased to present this report on the Nova Scotia Small Business Conference we attended in Sydney on March 14th. At the conference, we heard presentations from Senator Al Green, Leader of the Government in the Senate, and the Honourable Pierre Pettigrew, Minister of Human Resources Development. Panel presentations were given by 3 local individuals concerning initiatives in the local area. Richmond County was well represented by Claudine LeBlanc, who represented the Trade Winds call centre located in Petit de Bras. Trade Winds is a brilliant and innovative way for a rural community to create employment. Trade Winds offers bilingual services in a variety of areas, such as inbound, outbound, and direct mail, as well as fulfillment. They currently employ 12 agents and expect to employ as many as 50 by the end of '98. Claudine LeBlanc made all of Richmond County proud, but especially Ilmadam for the establishment of this business made Ilmadam aware that the creation of employment for its youth is possible, and in so doing will turn around the previous loss of our youth talent to other areas of our country. The Small Business Info Fair held in conjunction with this event allowed us to obtain valuable information about sources and types of help available to small business startups in our area. On behalf of Councillors McNamara, Woodrow, and myself, I extend thanks to members of Richmond County Council for having given us the opportunity to represent the municipality at this conference. And I've attached the agenda that we went through and a list of the various participants in the info fair. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this report.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor McNamara. Ready for the question? Question is called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Motion is carried. And Councillor McPhee, I appreciate the report made to Council, and that certainly stands for our policy. I must say it's a good report. Thank you very much. The last item on the agenda is from Councillor McPhee concerning Route 4 and its deplorable state of condition.
Mr. Chairman, now that we have an official Minister of Transportation in the province of Nova Scotia, I think it's time that we revive the issue of the number 4 highway for Richmond County. So therefore, I would like to propose the following motion: that Richmond Municipal Council write the Nova Scotia Department of Transportation asking that funds be allocated in the '98 construction budget for the reconstruction and repaving of Route number 4 highway from Kent Road to River Tiller, and that a copy of this motion be forwarded to the MLA for Richmond with a request to follow up on the matter. Seconded.
Moved by Councillor McPhee, seconded by Councillor McNamara. Any questions on the motion?
A question, as long as this motion does not impede or stop the President of Highway 406, the Division Engineer has promised that the 406 will be paid this year. That means it's one time, and hopefully that this motion will not put President forward to pay for the Highway 406.
I hope it does.
I hope it will.
We need Mr. Chairman, we need a lot more of those 2 routes paved in Richmond County.
I will keep on top of this. I will support the motion and give a call to Mr. Congressman Mulroney.
Yeah. The only tender I've seen so far is tender for Route 104. That's the tapping
I
problem.
know last year was promised that broken on and next year will be paid.
Was that just before the election?
No, it was last year. It was no election. I got one. With the exception of the districts.
I would understand that the motion that Councillor McPhee has made is in addition to anything that Councillor proposed.
Okay, in addition to our
Ready for the question? Questions called for. All in favor signify by saying aye. Counterminded? Motion is carried. And that's the completion of our agenda. I would now open up the floor to a 15-minute question period from anybody in the audience who wishes to address any items that we've dealt with tonight. I don't see any questions being addressed. So moved by Councillor Johnson, we adjourn.